Welcome into a very special edition of Sport Ball. I'm your boy Sam. With me, as always, are Kyle and Seth, and two special guests, Aditya Sai Ram and Nick Cornell. Boys, how we doing?
Excellent.
We've lost
I did
AD already.
Which one of us poor people do you want to talk?
This is gonna be a podcast filled with us talking over each other. That's what we really want as experience for you guys, the listeners.
And he's back, baby.
Aditya Sai Ram, he's here from India. He's bald now.
Well, he's not
He has
here.
nothing to
but-
say.
Certainly not talking.
Both of those things are true.
So we have
I'm
five
in
people.
quarantine land.
One dream. This is going to be, we're going to do a little bit, kind of think of it as a sequel to the last pod we put out, which is our top 25 players of all time. Since everyone's quarantined here and we have no NBA to speak of, which we already talked about last time, so I won't get into now, but we wanted to do something that we did actually in 2016, and we want to run it back, which is to draft teams filled with the greatest NBA players of all time. Now, you might ask yourself, Sam, how is this draft going to work? Are there rules to it?
Hey, Sam. How's this draft going to work? Are there rules to it?
Great question, Seth. There are rules. So basically, here's how it's going to work, okay? The draft is going to consist of all players that ever played in the NBA. You can choose from any of those players. You can use players that played in the ABA and overseas, but you have to use the version of them that played in the NBA. So if they were better overseas or in the ABA, that's tough for you.
I was going to go Arvydas Sabonis with my first pick, but I
Right,
guess
that's the natural rule. You can call that the Arvydas Sabonis rule, in fact. It was going to be a
Does that
snake
mean
draft.
I don't get do not get Jimmer for that scoring 50 points every game?
You do not, sadly. So this is going to be a snake draft consisting of 11 rounds. We're going to draft 5 starters, 5 bench players, and 1 coach in the last round. Basically, the goal is you're drafting a team to play an entire season in a league consisting of the other teams drafted. So 82 games. We'll assume 7 game best of 7 rounds in the playoffs, and your goal is to win the championship. So it's a 1 season deal. We'll go using modern rules, so no hand checking, zones are allowed, 3-point line exists, all the etc. The player that you pick, you get them at their peak, but injury-prone players still remain a concern because they might get injured during the season. You want to make sure that you're getting a player that you know is going to stay healthy the full season. So longevity doesn't matter, but keep injuries in mind. Fatigue is a factor, so your bench is going to have to play during the season in the playoffs. We're going to assume each team has a hometown that they've been a part of for many years, and that all the fans, are loyal to that team like they've been there for many years. So home court is still in effect. I think that's about it. We're going to attempt to, if we can, figure out a way, simulate the season using all these teams that we draft and see who comes out the champion. So stay tuned for that. We're going to try to use 2K to pit our teams against each other and simulate the results. Who knows if that'll actually happen, but it would be fun if it did. So, any questions on the rules?
Now let's do it.
Okay.
I've been preparing for hours and hours for this, so I'm ready.
So I simulated, or I randomized
I
the
woke
draft
up
order
like 10 minutes ago.
yesterday. Aditya woke up 10 minutes ago, and I sent it to all you guys to prepare. So, Kyle, you have the number 1 pick, I believe, right?
Yeah, and this is the only pick that I've thought about. So
Okay,
from
wait,
here,
hang on.
shit hits
Not
the
yet.
fan.
And then Nick is 2, I'm 3, Aditya's 4, and Seth's 5. All right, let's start round 1 of the inaugural
Does this
NBA
happen every year?
all-time draft big summer blowout. All right, Kyle, you're on the clock first. What will your pick be?
None other than LeBron James.
I knew he'd do it.
Sam and I were
I
texting
couldn't let him
earlier
fall
that
to
we
number
knew you'd
2.
do it.
That's fair.
It was John Brains himself.
Well, Nick, I think we know who you're going to be picking with number 2 then.
Yeah, Tony Kukoc. No,
Oh.
I will take MJ. Give him to me.
that Tony Kukoc joke was only for the 5 of us and no one else. So
Are there listeners to this pod?
just Matt. That's it.
Yeah. We had one Indiana listener, but I think he stopped.
Yeah, we had one in Germany, but it might have just been Matt while he was in Germany.
Or it's Dirk. We don't know.
Right. Okay. Well, with number 3, I'm going to go ahead and take Bill Russell.
Wow.
The thing is, our goal is to win a championship, and he won the most championships in NBA history. So I think that's a good
Right.
asset for the team.
But we're playing by current. Never mind. Okay.
That was Steve Kerr's argument on that TNT video.
I mean, he's my team leader. I needed someone in the clubhouse to lead the other alphas, you know?
So let me ask you, if you were going for championships only, right? That's what the goal is. Would you have drafted him number 1 overall?
No. I think that given the options available, he was the best choice. I mean, I have him as my 3rd best player of all time. So you could say it was pretty obvious for me to take him 3rd in this draft since the other 2 were gone.
All right. Don't agree, but that's fine.
A worthy pick, in my estimation.
Also, I did to piss Seth off. This throws all of his plans out the window, you fools.
He's taking
Defensive
it
pick.
far too well.
All right, Aditya, you're on the clock.
I
Who's
have
your 4th?
contingency upon contingency plans.
Oh boy. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and absolutely take Magic Johnson.
Excellent pick.
Very nice.
Nicholas?
I think it's a great pick. Honestly,
Excuse me?
Well, Sam threw it to me for some reason. I assume for input.
Yeah, it's Seth's pick, Sam.
Nick,
You know,
I went to you. I went to you because you had that look in your eyes like you need to tell me something deep in your soul.
I mean, Magic Johnson's my favorite player of all time. He would have been my next pick, so I support it, but I'm not Seth, so I don't really get to comment here.
All right, Seth.
You can comment.
Well, I predicted that it would go this way with those 4 players being the first 4 off the board. And therefore, with my 5th and 6th picks, no, I'm just explaining I'm prepared. I will take Larry Bird and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Is this the first podcast he's ever been prepared for?
I think so, yes.
Absolutely.
Historically speaking. Honestly, I kind of like being at the turn of the first. There, grabbing Larry and Kareem is kind of nice. Now I have to wait 4 picks to mine. Whoever
That's
the
a
fuck
good back-to-back.
generated these draft order was a schmuck.
Don't talk
All
to
right.
Siri that way.
So that means Aditya's up next, correct?
Yes. And with that, my team is going to be no nonsense. It's just going to get shit done. Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
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 Fuck.
We're the only listeners.
What do you think? We have the technology to beep out stuff?
We have it, but you think I'm going to listen to the entire podcast while I edit it?
No way. Not a chance.
Great. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go a little different. Stay in Laker County. I'm going to go ahead and take Shaq.
Damn it.
Ooh.
I was really hoping
Okay.
that Shaq might fall.
Aditya, I like that
And
pick a lot because
Thank
his
you.
peak was, almost as good as anyone's.
I think would you agree that his peak it's Orlando Magic, or is it going to fall to 2000?
I would say 2001
One.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His peak is at 2000, 2001, whatever.
I mean, the thing is, in my mind, his
when
peak
he
is probably
joined.
he's probably higher than Kareem. Do you think his peak is higher than Kareem?
Yes.
I've always kind of maintained that at his peak, Shaq is the most unguardable player in the NBA. There's just no one who can stop him. And when I said the Magic, like that's when he was skinny too, like
Yeah.
not skinny, but like he was fast at that age too.
So one question I have is like when we're saying
You have
that
a
a
question
player
like
is
this.
injury prone, when we're saying someone's like you have to worry about injuries because we want them to last the full season. Like Shaq, for example, was someone who got injured, but mostly in the later half of his career. So we're looking at him as like, well, in his peak, he was mostly healthy,
Yeah.
But I mean, you could say like Derrick Rose was healthy until he wasn't. So like at his peak, he was healthy too. Obviously more extreme, but
I think it's
and
up to your
we just need to
interpretation,
have
really.
a little bit of which
I
you
think
got
it
to have some ambiguity. Debate endlessly about it.
I mean, I think it's a small factor. I think it should be in the back of your mind when you're thinking of like, well, this guy's knee was just fucked up. He never had a chance. Might be one of your things. But, if he just had some freak injuries, I wouldn't take it too much into account. Okay, so next up is myself, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and fortify my front court by taking Timothy Duncan.
Damn you, sir.
Fuck you.
Great pick. Great
A secondary leader in my clubhouse. Bill is my defensive anchor, but Tim is right there beside him with his cagey bank shots, and I know he'll sacrifice to my other alphas for scoring and the like, and won't have a problem with that. So I think he fits in well on my team.
I think that's a great
That's
pick,
great.
Sam. I gotta say, I think he's gonna be a little hampered when he realizes he has arms, but but he'll put in work.
Great
All right.
YouTube video.
Nick, you're up next.
Oh, I knew you'd say that. This is a tough board now. I
It
think
is.
there's still a couple elite centers that I'm looking at, but I already. It's tough. I'm gonna go with Durant and give me just two unstoppable bucket getters with MJ and Durant.
All right.
I see a big problem coming from your team.
No centers.
No,
I think Sam's talking about a chemistry problem, but let me tell you,
Yeah,
Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, I'm not scoring on a possession.
he's got a point, but you're probably gonna score and then have a few words said afterwards.
Yeah, what do you think Michael would do if he found out that Durant had 6 fake Twitter accounts? Michael ain't putting up with that shit.
I think Michael would go play 18 holes and not give a shit about Kevin Durant. So,
To be fair, modern rules means that Twitter exists. So
oh Jesus!
if you think MJ and Kevin Durant are going to Twitter, think again.
Look, man, I made the pick. We go small. We'll put Durant at the 5.
No, I like it. That's a solid pick.
I like that.
All right, Kyle.
Let me ask, because I have no clue who anyone has picked yet. Has Wilt been chosen?
Wilt has not been chosen.
No.
The Stilt, you mean? Or
Wilt
another
is still
Okay, yes.
given
Then
to
no.
me.
All right, solid pick.
It's not wilted, but he is wilt.
I mean, he's going to put up 50 and 25 if that's what you want on your team.
At least 50 and 25.
I don't know why you would.
All right, next up.
Is
would
Kyle
be Nick
again?
right?
Oh, shit, it's
Oh,
me again.
Sorry. You're right, Kyle again.
Um,
Sam, try to keep it together.
oh, boy, this one's rough now.
I'm on my second beer, so this could get crazy.
I think I'm going to go Big O, Oscar Robinson.
Oscar.
Robertson. Did I say Robinson? Robertson.
So you got yourself a point guard.
These Natter days are really getting to me.
But would you not say LeBron is a better Oscar? So now you have LeBron and Oscar?
Yeah, I'm bolstering my bench with my third pick.
And
Obviously.
crushing it with the alliteration.
Bold. All right,
It's called
Nick, you're
forward
up.
thinking.
Nick, you're up again.
Ignite innovation.
All right, I am now going to snag my elite center because at this point there's only a couple that I think I'm comfortable starting, and I'm gonna take Hakeem. I think, while again unstoppable bucket getter, I think he's the kind of guy who can play with MJ and Durant, and he'll fit in well with the squad we're building.
That's a great pick, Nick. And he's going to really bolster your defense as well. Okay,
Great pick.
so I look at my team. I have Bill. I have Tim. I have the Twin Towers. I have defense pretty much locked down, at least at the rim, right? Now, what I think I need is some shooting and just a little spunk, a little shooting, a little scoring, So I'm going to take Steph Curry because, listen, a little injury prone maybe. Hasn't had the longevity of these other players, but at his peak, he was the unanimous MVP, which is just as good as you can get, right? So I think he'll be good at initiating my offense and the shooter that we need because I really can't have two non-shooters. I really can't have more than two non-shooters, and I have Bill and Tim, right? So he's going to open up the floor for me. Did I mention he's the best three-point shooter in history?
I don't think you did.
No, but just do it again, just for.
You think Magic's going to come out and guard Steph at the three-point line successfully? Think again.
I mean, he probably could actually.
He probably could.
He wasn't a very good defender, although Steph couldn't defend him either, so I guess that's a wash.
Yeah.
I have a question. What? Never mind. I'll wait till it's my turn.
Okay. Who is up after me? That would be Aditya.
Yes. Hello. Hi. So with Magic and Shaq, I'm going to go ahead and add someone who is not only great at getting rebounds, but is the single best analyst on TV right now with the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley.
Excellent.
I knew it was
I
coming.
thought you were going to say Doris Burke, but...
Oh, she's a fox.
You know,
And
He
I
didn't
she's
say
my
he was
coach,
drafting a
so.
freak in the sheets.
That's a great pick with Charles. I mean, Charles is like Draymond if he was worse at defense, but 100,000 times better at scoring.
Yeah,
And three
exactly.
times is the weight.
All right, Nick, you're not up, so don't look at me.
I swear to
Go
God,
ahead.
Sam.
Sam has tried to give Nick like 4 extra picks so far.
You're welcome, Nick. Nick, who do you have so far?
Who do I have? I mean, it's not my pick, but I have MJ, Durant, and Hakeem.
All right, Seth, who do you have so far?
So far, I have Larry Bird and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Haven't picked in some time, have you, cowboy?
I have not. All right, so I've been mapping this out. Okay, so I have 2 players left who I was targeting in this position, so I might as well just take both of them. And I think when you're building a team like this, I just want it to not have any holes. So I want fully capable players offensively, defensively, because I'm going against other all-time great teams. So I'm going to take 2 great players who are, as they say, even though I hate when they say this, two-way players, because everyone plays on both ends of the court. But I'm going to take Scottie Pippen and Karl Malone.
Damn it, I wanted
Wasn't-
Scotty.
Wasn't Seth the one that said when you say your picks, don't reveal your strategy, and he just told us exactly what he was going to do?
You fool! Damn it, Seth, I was going to take Scotty with my next pick.
I knew you would.
Yeah, me too, actually.
The thing is, Scotty is the perfect Robin, right? So if you have a team of Batman, several Batman,
Which I do.
then you need him, right? So, I'm jealous of that, and I'll never forgive you for it.
Well, you took Bill Russell, so I guess we're even.
Pretty boy. All right, next up, the man, the myth, the legend. Aditya.
Scott Sterling. Okay. Fuck, dude, I really wanted Scotty, actually.
I know,
Um,
it fucks me.
All right, so in that case, I think my team needs the alpha, and I know he's already played with Shaq a bunch. They did the only other three-peat in modern history, so I'm going to go ahead and take late, great Kobe Bean Bryant.
R.I.P.
A little later than I expected,
R.I.P.
for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Same, yeah. I didn't expect Curry to go before Kobe.
Mental
But it-
lapse on Sam's part.
Curry has his points. Yeah, but I mean, I think Kobe's stats stand for itself.
The
Fantastic.
definition of a two-way player.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm up next, and I'm dealing with a little bit of
Don't
an
you dare.
internal dilemma here.
Don't you dare.
Because the only two positions. So I have my starting center. It's Bill, the Thrill. I have my starting power forward. It's Timmy, the Shimmy. I have my starting point guard. It's Steph.
The chef.
Thank you. I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with it, even though that's his nickname. So I have 2 wing spots available, right? And no one I have listed for the next 3 rounds is a wing. So I'm just wondering if I go small or big, basically.
See, let
I
me tell
think
you what
so.
your guys' problem is. Your problem is you're trying to draft your starting 5 and then draft a bench where it doesn't have to go in that order.
I'm not necessarily
Okay,
going to
very
do
good
that,
point.
but I think with my 4th pick, I'd like someone who's starting at least. And then we'll get
That's
into the bench.
exactly so. That's exactly what you're doing.
Well, maybe with I'm not going to say too much of my plan, but I think my 5th pick is going to be a bench player.
I was really hoping you'd lay it out for us like Seth just did.
Okay, this might be crazy, and you guys might think I'm crazy. Are you ready for this? I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard.
Wow. Okay.
Listen, longevity doesn't matter here, and the only reason he's not a top 25 player yet is because he hasn't played enough seasons at his peak. But this is a 2-time Finals MVP we're talking about, the best defensive player in the league, the best wing defender in the league. Well, I'm looking at my roster. I need a wing defender. There he is, and I know he's not going to complain
Yeah.
about not getting shots and stuff. He's the perfect locker room player.
Board
So
man gets
Mhm.
boards. Or paid.
I would say
Also
if you
boards.
wanted to get Scottie Pippen, Kawhi's a pretty good secondary option. I would say I feel like he's had enough injuries where you could say that's at least a concern.
definitely.
But I don't think it's a crazy pick.
Nick, don't you
All right.
dare take one of my
Nick,
next 2.
I don't know how to tell you this, but you're finally up after me teasing you for 2 rounds.
Nah,
If
I
Nick picks Dennis
can only
Schroeder,
assume-
Kyle's gonna be pissed as fuck.
yeah.
Shut your mouth, Seth. I'm gonna punch my computer if this happens.
So, you guys already expressed concerns about the chemistry on my team, especially with MJ and Durant. But I'm gonna throw in another guy who might mess with the chemistry a little
I'll
bit.
take Carrier
Embiid.
McVay.
But at the same time, I do think that he'll get along with MJ because all they care about is winning. I'm gonna take KG. I'm
Fuck
gonna
you.
scrub the defensive end. I'm gonna get buckets, and I'm just getting another winner who's not gonna accept the defeat.
That's a great pick, Nick. I'm loving your team so far.
Fuck off, Nick. That was my pick.
Oh, and I'm gonna crack my second beer.
Now that's breaking news.
Seth, can you
All right,
share
Kyle.
that sheet with me?
Seth, share
I
the
got
sheet
back
or
to
die.
back, right?
You have back-to-back, correct, Kyle?
Well, since Nick took my pick, Kevin Garnett, who was great in Uncut Gems, fantastic actor in his post NBA.
That's what you need in a player too. If they can't make it on the big screen, why are they even on your team?
especially
That's why I
in this
took
current
MJ.
NBA.
He's in Space Jam.
Oh, good point, Nick.
Wow, Nick is really just traversing cultures here. I mean, like, never mind. So I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna fill my power forward spot with none other than our only German listener, Dirk Nowitzki.
Wow.
All right.
A little low for Dirk, if anything.
Dirk the Jerk, they call him. And
Mhm.
then I'm gonna follow it up. And after I told you guys not to fill out a starting, I'm gonna finish my starting lineup and reach here.
He's going Harden.
You know I'm going James Harden, baby. Let's fucking go.
Wow.
Damn.
Spoiler, I
Wow.
apologize. I just know Kyle.
You know me too well. Next is never mind. You already know.
It's not a crazy pick, Nick. Or Nick. Why did I say Nick for every single person?
Samuel.
It's not a crazy pick, Kyle. I would just be wary that his playoff performance hasn't been great. But on a team with other great players, he'll probably be fine, right?
We're gonna find out when we simulate this in 2K.
Okay, next up, I believe to be the one, the only. The only
The
man's
one
name
time
I
it's
can
actually
say.
his turn.
I want you to get it right, though. I want you to say the correct name. All right, yeah, it's me. Now, if I'm looking at my board here, I think the clear-cut next choice, especially when I have a hole at point guard, is to take Isaiah Thomas. But as we've alluded to, chemistry is a concern, and I think him and MJ would literally get into a fist fight on the court.
Oh, that's true.
So I think at this point I'm moving to a bench spot. And with that, I am going to take Kevin McHale.
Mm.
Proven winners.
Wow.
Proven winners is
Two
what I want on
Celtics
my
in a
team.
row, Nicholas. You're a dirty boy.
Great pick.
That's a good pick. Okay. I believe I'm up next. Now, so far, let's go over what I have, huh? We got Bill, we got Tim, we got Steph, we got Kawhi. I'm missing a wing player, but instead I think I'm going to fill a bench spot, as I alluded to. This might be too high for him. It might be too low for him, but I'm going to take Bill Walton. Now,
Is that your second Bill the Thrill?
my second Bill the Thrill. Now, this is all about peak performance, right? And I mean, basically at his peak, Walton was guaranteeing you a title before his foot went out. So, I mean, he won a title with basically the worst supporting cast since the merger. And he is one of the best passing big men in history. And he also won a championship, Seth, you'll remember well, on the 86 Celtics as a sixth man. So I'm hoping he kind of channels that sixth-man energy on my team because he's going to be the first guy off the bench to replace either Timmy or Bill. And he's a chemistry guy. He's a great passer. He makes teammates better. So I think he's a great first option off the bench. And his peak is considered among the greats. I mean, I think he'd be a top 15 player if not for the injuries. So,
yeah,
Sam's got high risk, high reward with Kawhi and Bill, adding a little bit of injury risk there.
Yeah, I think we're going modern rules, and if there's only one player who's gonna have more load management than Kawhi, it's gonna be Bill. So
Bill and Kawhi aren't playing in the regular season, okay? They're for the championship game. Game 7 is where we bring them off the shelf.
Yeah, I don't think Russell's gonna even let him take load management either. So
okay. After myself, Aditya, you're up next.
Oh my God. All right, I think I do believe the toughest position to draft for is point guard. So I'm gonna get someone on my bench to back up Magic, someone unselfish in a team of alphas, and whose longevity doesn't even need to be questioned. I'm gonna go ahead and take Stockton.
Johnny.
one of my favorite players of all time, you son of a bitch.
John is the definition
so
of vanilla ice cream, but you know he's coming through for you.
Of course, and he's just so unselfish. I think he's always going to get the nice open look. I think with Magic not playing, we lose a little bit of offense, but I think as long as there's alphas around him, I don't think he has any issues.
Yeah, going from Magic to John is not a huge downgrade. I mean, that's a great backup point guard. And I love vanilla ice cream. All right, so Seth, let's take your fifth pick, and then we'll pause and go over all of our starting five for the listeners.
Okay. Let me just decide. I know who the two picks are going to be, but I haven't quite decided on a starting lineup or who's going to be this one. But both of them are potentially going to be surprising. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, we'll just do that. My fifth pick is going to be none other than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow.
I was going to take him next round.
Wow.
We're talking about peak performance, so not worried about longevity. And he currently has the greatest PER season of all NBA history. And he hasn't gotten injured yet, so I would say that wouldn't be a concern. And like I said, I wanted players who are dynamic on offense and defense. So do you want me to just start with my starting five and then we'll go backwards then?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to you can say if they're going to be on your bench or not. I just want to recap our first five picks.
Yeah. So I think I've succeeded in my goal of having a menacing defensive lineup. Right now I have Giannis at the point forward position, at shooting guard, and then basically I have wing players, Scottie Pippen and Larry Bird, and then big men, Karl Malone, also forward, semi-wing player, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So all five of those players I think are extraordinary offensive and defensive talents and could go against any other team, even composed of all-time greats. I like my team, especially defensively. So,
all right, Aditya, why don't you go over your first four picks? Five picks, yeah.
Okay, so at point guard, I've got Magic. At center, I've got Shaq. I've got Barkley at the power forward position, and I've got Kobe in the shooting guard position. I've got Stockton coming off the bench already, and yeah. So far, looks like there are 3 ball dominant players and 2 people who are ready to space the floor up. And I'm sure if we're playing modern rules, Stockton and Magic would have a fairly killer 3-pointer as well.
Definitely Stockton,
So-
yeah.
That's an interesting hypothetical there. I don't know how everyone else is drafting. I've approached this as like they are what they are in their peak. So like Stockton, not necessarily an amazing 3-point shooter, I guess Magic more so. But I will change my draft strategy a little bit.
I think that you can make some assumptions because, like in 2K, when I play with Larry Bird, for instance, who's a very good 3-point shooter, I'm taking like 10 threes up with him, and he's making most of them. So you have to probably factor that in a little at least.
You have to factor in
fair.
their 2K efficiency for sure, which
Very
relies
true.
on how well you could
And I
time the
think-
shot. I have one thing to say.
And if you... Okay, go ahead.
Number 3. There it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
that he
just
cracked
third
I
tier.
think
Nothing to see
if
here.
you're gonna draft all these greats, I think there has to be a certain factor of adaptability.
Mhm,
So
definitely.
if you're gonna put them in the current rules, they are the kind of people who would adapt to win. So that's how I.
That's
look at
true. That's the kind of players they are.
Great point.
So for me, I have as my leader, my defensive anchor, and my rebounder, I have Bill Russell. Anchoring the power forward spot and an unselfish culture setter, I have Tim Duncan. And then I have Steph Curry as my point guard and my shooter scorer, greatest shooter of all time, in case you didn't know. And then at the wing spot, I have Kawhi locking down on defense and adding scoring, ISO scoring when we need it. And then I haven't filled my other wing spot for starters, but coming off the bench, I have Bill Walton, whose peak was as good as any center, I would say. And that's what I'm rolling with. My team is built on championship equity and chemistry, baby.
Yeah, I have a similar approach in picking proven winners. My 5 so far is MJ, Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett, and Hakeem, and Kevin McHale. And I think so far I have those 2 guys to get buckets whenever, and then I just have defensive juggernauts and guys who will do all the dirty work. So that's what I'm rolling with.
3 players named Kevin.
Yeah, we're the
Incredible.
Fighting Kevins.
That has to be a concern for you.
When he says Kevin cut, nobody knows who he's talking to.
If 3 players are cutting at once, we're going to have a problem. All right, Kyle, what's your team so far?
At point guard, I got the man that's always on the go. They call him the Big O. As shooting guard, he knows nothing other than to win. He goes by James Harden. As small forward, he gets it on. He goes by the name LeBron. At power forward, he shoots it like a jerk. From Germany, his name is Dirk.
Woo!
And at center, never full of guilt. He's always coming like he's on stilts. He goes by the name of Wilt.
Honestly,
You're welcome.
I think Kyle's
I
is
didn't
my
know
favorite
we
team
had
just
to
from that.
wrap it.
I really just channel my inner common there, so.
There's nothing common about that, baby. All right,
Heyo.
Seth, now make your first pick of your bench spot or whatever you have it as your 6th player.
Well, yeah. So, other than Bill Russell, I think this is the player who I was the most highly targeting and hoping to get in this draft because I think he's perfect for this format, and that is Klay Thompson.
Ooh,
Mm. Yeah, I wanted
well
him.
done. Well
But
done.
how dare you break up my Splash Brothers?
I did it.
It's a great pick.
Thank you.
I mean, he's unselfish. He's a shooter. He plays defense. He fits in any team.
Right. He's the 2nd best shooter of all time, better than Ray Allen, better than Reggie Miller, and a much better defender than either of those players. He's not injury prone. He had 1 fluke injury. And yeah, he's, if anything, my defensive unit was just missing like a perimeter defender who could guard smaller players, the other team's point guards. So I got that with Clay.
Now, once again, you wronged me in taking my next pick. So that means that you are back on the bad graces, and I get to wrong you again. Just saying.
Okay. I look forward to it.
All right, Aditya, what you got?
All right. So to round off my starting five, I'm like to put a presence in the paint, which is going to be really tough with Shaq, Barkley, Kobe, and Magic. I'm going to go ahead and add the most shredded man in NBA history, the Admiral. Hold down the fort, and yeah.
Great pick. I mean, to have an Adonis on your team is something that none of us have. So
I'm surprised he's
great,
lasted
yeah.
this long, to be honest.
I guess technically
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
a Greek god, but
For the uneducated, aka R1 listener Matt, who is the Admiral?
Hey, shout out to Matt Rossetti. Okay, I was gonna ask how he's doing, but then we're really gonna sway away from this podcast.
David Robinson is his name.
famously the son of Mrs. Robinson.
Yes,
All right, so
yes.
now with my pick of the 6th round, I'm going to take my final starter. I think I'm missing a wing spot, as we all know. So on the wing, along with Kawhi, I'm going to have another great defender, the greatest shot blocker in shooting guard history. I'm going to take Dwayne Wade. No
He was
one
on
is
my short
scoring
list.
on a wing of Dwayne Wade and Kawhi Leonard. I'll tell you that much.
Sam, do you think Dwayne's going to be a little preoccupied with his 8th retirement ceremony, or?
That's another good thing. I know that. Every time he retires, that we're going to have nice fanfare along with our team, and I just really want the spotlight. So.
All right. Well, I guess I'm up, and we talk about value in this draft. I assume someone's going to correct me because I can't believe that Isaiah Thomas is still on the board. And as much as I was not going to take Isaiah Thomas, I'm going to take Isaiah Thomas, and I can just stagger him and MJ because Isaiah is one of the most proven winners in NBA history, and he will scrap. He's going to fit right in with KG and Kevin McHale. Although there's a little bad blood, but it'll work out, and I'm taking Isaiah Thomas.
Nick, your locker room is on fire right now.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get to the coach, boys.
Yeah, your coach better really rein it in. I'll tell you that.
Stem boiler.
All right, who's up? Is it Kyle?
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
It's a tough one here. I'm trying to think of what I want to do with the rest of my team, obviously. There's one player that's on the board still that I think hasn't been drafted. And I want him, but I don't know if he fits what I'm going to do going forward, so I'm going to forego him. You can say I'm going to glide right past him. I'm going to pick... I'm going to go with Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
And then
Interesting.
none other than Luka Doncic.
I knew
We're
you'd
going
do
modern
Wow.
rules. I'm going modern players, baby.
Wow.
I'll say I'm jealous of the Dennis pick. I had him for the next round because he's going to fit in with any good team, right? All
He
wants to
doesn't
do is
shoot.
get
All he
rebounds.
does is all he does is defend and
Yeah.
get like 20 rebounds a game. So
I slightly disagree with the Luka pick, if only because you could have probably got him in the last round and none of us would have taken him yet. But
what am I if I don't reach?
Hey, Kyle goes with his gut, man. The
That's all.
the Hawks wouldn't have taken Luka that early.
Hey boy.
Hey, or the Kings. I'll drink to that.
Cheers.
All right, I'm
right,
up
Nick.
on the wraparound, and
The reach round?
please, I was waiting to pick this guy, but I'm gonna go back-to-back point guards. I'm gonna take the one point guard who, for the modern game, I was actually hoping would be my starter. He might just start over Isaiah. I'm gonna take Steve Nash.
Oh. I thought you were going in a different direction.
I like that.
I assume you thought Jason Kidd. I think in the modern era, shooting more threes with more space on the floor, I don't think there would be a better point guard for today's game than Steve Nash.
I was not
Yeah.
thinking the other one either, so we were not on the same page.
Great pick, Nick.
Kyle was thinking Dennis Schroeder.
So
Watch
He always
yourself.
is.
He's
for
always
me,
thinking.
I have my 5 stars. I have my backup center in Bill Walton, who's not going to play until Game 7 of the finals. So I need another bench player, and I've been wanting to pick Moses, which I don't know how he's fallen this far. This is a 3-time MVP who won a championship with the second worst supporting cast in NBA history behind Bill Walton. But I don't really need a backup center, so I'm not going to take him. But shame on the rest of you.
I've thought
In
about
fact,
that too.
will be taking a backup point guard by the name of Jerry West. Let me tell you a little something about Jerry West. He's the logo of the NBA. So right there, that gives my team a little panache. He made 9 finals, which is pretty good, I hear. He only won 1 finals, but his nickname was Mr. Clutch, so I'm assuming that's not the reason they lost the finals. I think he's tragically underrated in history. I mean, Bill Simmons had him as number 12 in his book, and for me to get him as a bench player in round 7, I think is pretty good. Are we on round 6? Doesn't matter.
7.
Good. So I'm going to take Jerry, and I feel, honestly, from Steph to him is not a huge drop-off, so having him as my backup point guard, I feel very strongly about that. I mean, his peak, he was doing like 30, 37, and 6, so that'll keep my team going on the bench.
I think if we were to rank players based on basketball IQ, I think, Sam, you have all of the top players currently. You have Steph,
team,
Kawhi,
most
Duncan, Bill Russell, Bill Walton, and Jerry West. That's incredible basketball IQ.
My favorite way to play basketball is a lot of passing, a lot of cutting, a lot of smart basketball players, no one complaining. So that's what my team's going to be about.
I played with you for 4 years in college. That was never the way you played.
How I actually play is the opposite. All right, who's up next? I just went, so it must be Aditya, right?
Must be.
All right, yeah, Aditya, you're up.
All right, so I haven't really dipped my ink in the modern pool of NBA players yet. I think the most recent player I have is Kobe. That being said, I would like to grab. Fuck, I can't decide between 2 people. I don't know what's gonna come back around with Seth over there. All right, let me go ahead and grab someone who is from the current era, someone who's unstoppable, and has been proven to be a defensive stalwart. That's the right word, right? Stalwart.
Sounds good to me.
I'm gonna go ahead and take Anthony Davis.
Ooh,
Phenomenal pick.
I don't mind that at all.
Just I had
Strong
him on the
defense.
list.
Tons of rebounds. He's gonna get a lot of great looks.
AD taking AD.
It's only fitting.
Taking 8.
Okay, so Aditya just went. That means Seth, you're due for your back-to-back.
You sure it's not Nick? All right. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I really do think, just with how far he's dropped, I am going to take Moses Malone right here.
Good man.
He's never been a super favorite player of mine, but I don't really know why. I guess it's just because I didn't get to see him play. But when you look at it, at his peak, he was averaging 31 and 14.
That's it.
And he's also a 2-time all-defensive team player, in addition to 3-time MVP, 13-time All-Star, all that good stuff offensively. So I feel like he fits in well with my team. And he's a good backup for Kareem. And then with my next pick, this is tough, but I feel, yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't really have any point guards yet. I'll probably be rolling with Giannis, bringing the ball up, which I'm cool with. But for my backup, I'm going to take Jason Kidd. Another good defensive player who's made all NBA defensive teams, good distributor. And we are talking about peak performance, and he did have a peak where he was a very good three-point shooter. So I'll be all right with him.
Sure.
I'm glad you picked Moses. He's criminally underrated. 3-time MVP during, admittedly, a weak time in the NBA, but he was the best among his peers.
Yeah.
And Jason's a great two-way player. Triple-double walking, you might say. Okay. Aditya, you're up next.
Just don't make him your coach.
I wouldn't dream of
it. Great. Thank God you picked Jason Kidd.
You
so
fool.
I'm going to round out my guards. I'm going to bring in... So I think if we're going to play modern rules, we realize that positions are basically fluid. Mm-hmm. I think my shooting guards and point guards are going to be able to kind of mix and match. With Magic, Kobe, and Stockton, I've got a lot of IQ on my team already. I'm going to add to that with someone who's impressed me thoroughly this season, and I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Paul.
I knew he would.
I really thought you were. Never mind. I'm not going to reveal one of my last round picks.
Ooh. Offensively, fantastic. Defensively, he's got the IQ. He's reading plays. He's calling out plays. Steals out the ass.
If you're going to get a steal, it better be out the ass.
I'm pretty sure he drafted him because at this point in AD's life, they're identical twins.
That's true. Look at his shaved head. He's a mix between Chris Paul and Bernard from Westworld. Okay, great pick.
I also get Cliff. So
That's true. He gets Cliff Paul from State
He gets
Farm.
2 and 1. What if?
Okay, so I'm not sure how this player is still on the board. Another criminally underrated player who's probably a top 15 player of all time, I would say. I'm looking at his peak season back in the 61 season. We're just looking at a quick 38, 19, and 5. I mean, that's fine, I guess, for your backup power forward / small forward. So as my backup forward, I'm going to go ahead and take Elgin Baylor. There is a risk of him leaving for the military in the middle of the season because he did do that one season, but still, I believe that was actually the same season where he averaged 38 and 19. So I think we'll be fine. He used to go do his business for the Army Reserve and then fly back for games and still perform just as well as he did when he wasn't doing the Army Reserve. So I think even if he does have to leave to do his job, that's fine with me. I think he'll still perform for my team. Backup forward, Elgin Baylor.
I mean, the man was serving for Team America at that point, so.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, though, in the 60s, any one of us could have scored 30 and 15, so.
That's true. The poor man ran into Bill Russell every year, but since Bill Russell's on my team, I think we can win the championship together. All right. Dare I say it? Nick, are you up?
I mean, the conviction with which you say it. All right, I'm looking at quite a few picks here. You got someone like Patrick Ewing, but as I said, I'm looking for proven winners.
Agreed.
I'm gonna continue. I think I do have a pretty good front court. I'm a little light on wings, to be honest. The only wing players I have right now are MJ and Durant. I'm gonna add a elite player, an elite defensive player. We're talking about underrated historically players. I'm going to take Hondo, John Havlicek.
Oh, I was just looking at that.
8-time All-D selection. I think he's the kind of player who can, give it up to these elite scorers, but stay engaged and just help us win.
Nick, I was looking at that. John Havlicek is a top 15 player of all time in my mind. 27, 9, and 8 in his peak. He went 8-0 in the finals. most importantly of all, in a 2K game between me and Nick,
Oh,
he
no.
hit
Greatest
a
shot.
game-winning shot.
The greatest shot known to man. The greatest shot
From the
known to
logo.
man.
A video
Solid.
that I send Nick once a month at least to remind him that John Havlicek sent him to the depths of despair.
I will say though, how many picks deep are we tonight so far? And for every single player, Sam has mentioned that it's a top 15 player of all time.
That is, hey, that's classic sports talking head. I support it.
I think the thing is that like players like John and like Moses and like Elgin, you could say like longevity was a lot, of why they're a top 15 player. Maybe their peak wasn't as high as someone like Steph or someone like Luka Doncic, I guess, right? But they're a top 15 player because of longevity. But they still fell too far. Okay.
Fair.
I can
I'm
only
watching.
assume you're going to send me that video as soon as this podcast ends.
It's already sent. It's just... All right, Kyle, you're back to back.
Ah, shit, it's me. It's your boy. So after I mentioned him like 20 picks ago, has anyone picked Clyde?
No.
No.
Put him on my team.
Good
Give
pick.
Good reason too.
Yeah. Clyde the Glide. Let me write him down here. And then I don't know if this is a reach. It probably is. I don't even know who's been picked and who hasn't. I'm 4 beers deep already. I'm going Paul Pierce. You know I need the truth on my team.
That's a good pick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As long as he don't
Got
shit
some
himself,
toughness.
I think we're all right.
Okay. I like that pick a lot, Kyle. Nick, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's your pick.
I apologize. Remind me of your first pick there on the back-to-back, Kyle. You said you took Clyde, right?
Clyde the Glide.
Okay.
He's distracted
I
because
respect
he's
it.
looking at John Havlicek hit the game winner from the logo, which I just sent him 2 minutes ago.
I got that side by side with Pornhub, and it's a little distracting. So I'm looking, and I think that with my last 2 picks, I'm gonna be targeting role players who are just gonna support this team in different ways. And we're talking about the modern game. I'm gonna take Chris Bosh. All health
Oh, I was
concerns
hoping he dropped me.
appreciated. I think the man is. I don't think he's
Good
criminally
pick.
underrated. I think it's like a fancy thing to say he's criminally underrated. But again, just the kind of guy who's going to do whatever it takes to win, and he's not going to bring an ego, which my team has enough of. So I'm going to stick with Chris Bosh.
Yeah, watching that Facebook Live played the Miami Spurs game when Ray Allen hit that iconic 3 to send it to OT.
Oh
and
my god.
Chris in that game, I forgot how fucking good he is. He was a menace on defense. Like no one could score on him. He blocked like 3 shots in the last few minutes in overtime.
Yeah, I think he had more of a peak to continue, and it's unfortunate that it was cut short. Plus, he has some elite early YouTube content if you go back and look.
Plus he looks like a dinosaur.
True
All
that.
right. So I'm going to take a similar approach, Nick, to my final 2 spots. I have a couple bench players that I think will take most of my minutes. I mean, we're going to be doing a 7 to 8 man rotation when it matters, right? But I do want to roll out with a few role players who are going to be fine in the locker room. So first I'm going to take Ray Allen. So I was between Reggie or Ray Allen for my shooter off the bench. I think Ray's just a little better. He's a proven winner with several teams, with the Celtics and with the Heat. He can be my cooler at the end of games. I can put him in. He's an 89% free throw shooter, so when I'm protecting a lead, the other team can go ahead and follow him, and I know he's going to make the shots. And I like having that player on my team. He's probably not going to play a lot of minutes, but I know that he's going to come through when it matters if we do decide to put him in.
I like that pick a lot.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
That's all right.
All right, so Aditya, you're up next.
All right. Cool. So, I'm really loving my guards right now. I think a lot of high IQ passing happening. So I think it's just my job to bring them the supporting cast they deserve. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Dr. J with my 9th pick.
Great pick.
So So just someone who is going to get the job done, get some great scoring, hold down the paint. Yeah.
Very good. Like that pick a lot too.
Dr. J, I can never tell if he's underrated or overrated because I play with him in 2K and he's ass.
I have one
Yeah,
question.
So
I have one
so
question
we're
about Dr.
47.
J. Is he actually does he have a doctorate?
Yeah,
Yes,
and
next
schooling
question.
them fools.
he's a
That's all you need on the
certified-
court.
If you think about it, he kind of has the exact inverse hairstyle of Aditya right now.
Oh my God, you're right.
True. No, so that was the 49th pick, but I would say that Dr. J is a consensus top 20 all-time pick. So
It
surprising.
was the 44th pick for future reference, and he was. I agree. I agree. He's a consensus top 25 player.
Sure,
He
he's not
might
top
not-
15, Sam.
No, he might not
Fourth, right.
fit in the modern NBA that well because he can't shoot, but like his athleticism will still be very present. I think. I have no problem.
I got
with
the
pick at all.
shooters that I need.
Right,
I just
exactly.
need him. I just need him in the paint.
He goes hard in the motherfucking paint.
Nice one, Kyle.
Damn right he does.
Okay, so next pickup would be Seth back to back. He seems to be having some microphone issues. Maybe he can just type to us what he wants.
I think he's sweating.
My God, he picked Trae Young.
Ice trade a gang.
He stole Dennis Schroeder. How dare he?
How fucking dare he? If you guys,
We should mention, I don't think people at home know that in 2016 when we did this draft, Kyle took Dennis Schroeder as his last pick. And even at that time, he
things
was
haven't changed,
sixth man.
bitch. 4 years later, I'm still doing me. The German chocolate cake.
Even at that time, he wasn't that good. And yet
He's gonna win Sixth Man of the Year this year. Fuck off.
Yeah, okay, I guess. Kyle, I think this is a great time for an ad read. We need to get our revenue going.
You're right. As Seth charges his microphone or plugs it in or does something, this podcast is brought to you by none other than Beanbox. If you need a box of beans, you know where to go. www.beanbox.com/the boys are back in town.
Yo, they got the best
Beanbox.
deals on beans, man. Every kind,
Yo,
though.
the thing is, you want your Garbanzo, you want your Lima, it doesn't matter.
I certainly
Got
don't
him.
want Lima.
Black, Pinto.
Ligma
By the way-
beans.
I already gave a plug to Pornhub. Do you guys get money for that, or
We are Pornhub.
Just do it anyway.
dropping as much content?
Do you think we can hand signal to Seth to type his picks in?
You
I
text.
can hear you now.
Oh, he's
Oh.
back.
Excellent.
Can you
Seth, give us your
imagine
picks
with all
now.
this quarantine?
Stop
how
fucking
many
around.
Porn is watched right now.
It's time for your back-to-back picks.
I know. I need to figure out Audacity again.
That
which
doesn't matter. Forget
Hopefully,
about that.
okay. Yes, it does.
Life is meaningless.
Okay.
All right, Kyle, we're gonna have to
It
cut
might-
this part out probably. Although
Yeah, we may
it's
have
still-
lost some of my. We may have lost some of my Audacity recording because I had to recover it because it just quit automatically. But I'll just start recording now and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I had no
figure it out in
choice
post.
because my
We have a
computer
lot
is
of
about
producers.
to die and there's only one hole.
Yeah, we'll give it to the team. They'll get it situated.
Luckily, we have our
Perfect.
team of producers.
Okay. Okay, so it's my turn. Who picked? Who did Aditya? Who did Sam and
I took-
Aditya pick?
I took Ray Allen and Aditya took Dr. J.
Okay. Okay, so I get 2 more picks, right? And then my team's done.
Correct.
Cool. So
Banter,
He's been gone
banter,
for 5 minutes
banter.
and he doesn't even know who he's
Is
gonna
this,
pick.
is this about to be
you
the
don't
How's Matt doing
understand
segment?
the stressful ordeal that I've been going through over the last however long.
Of
All right,
course.
so my first pick is going to be, so far, everyone on my team has made an all NBA defensive team, which is really my goal. And I'm going to continue that trend with arguably the greatest on-ball defender in history, Gary Payton.
Great pick.
And then flirting along with my last pick, do I continue that all NBA defensive trend, or do I just go with a wild card? Because my last pick, I already have plenty of defense, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And because it's peak performance, I'm going to pick the player who had the highest peak in NBA history on a one-game basis, and that is Tracy McGrady.
All I know is if you're down, 12 points with like 3 seconds left, you're shooing to win.
He's got a point, honestly. I thought about T-Mac too because he's one of those that was a great peak performer, didn't really win in the playoffs, but had a lot of injuries that sidelined him. So I think that's a good pick.
One of his signature shoes had actual hardwood NBA floor in the sole.
I had that shoe.
That shit was wild.
All right, Aditya. What's your last pick going to be?
All right. Also, Seth, I do believe everyone on my team also has at least one All-NBA defense, so that's something I'm proud of as well. And I'm going to break that fucking streak, I'll tell you that much.
Join me.
So, I'm really struggling. I'm just going to go ahead and say both of them. One is going to be Dame Jr., stone cold, game closer, someone whose size and speed is always going to be great against all your old farts. And the other one is going to be mini Dr. O, Russell Westbrook.
I was wondering if he was going to get picked.
Can just fill that hole.
So wait, which one are you going to pick?
I love the argument of filling that hole. Just someone who is willing to do whatever no one else is.
AD's all about filling the hole.
Yeah.
I always say
any one of them.
Okay, you can only pick
all
one. Though.
9.5 human body.
You think he's ever going to tell us which one out of those two he's actually going to pick?
Nice, flip it a coin.
No. Fucking hell. All right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead with my gut, and
Third
that
choice.
tells me I should do Russell Westbrook.
I
Just
think
going to
that's
go ahead
solid.
and put him wherever these guys don't want to play. Just go ahead and put him in
Perfect.
that role.
Put him at the 5. Don't give a fuck.
If you ever heard the story of what would happen if Russell Westbrook grew up on a farm, it's out there. I highly recommend it. Shout out Lil Dicky. Dave,
Right now.
you know what up.
Thank you, Kyle. All right. So for my final pick, I'm just trying to round up my team. The truth is, this player is not going to play a lot of minutes. Probably just in blowouts and garbage time. But if I get beset by injuries, I want to be sure that this guy can step in and do his role. As you know, I'm looking for merely championship-level players who know how to win and are good in the locker room. So I'm going to go ahead and take Robert Horry, 7-time champion, a role player on 7 different championship teams. He only had one season where he wasn't. He only had one season basically where he won less than 47 games. So I think that's pretty good, and I think
Not
that's
the team.
Right, exactly. And I'm building a team of all-time great players, and I need a role player to step in who knows exactly what his role is. He's never going to complain. He knows how to win. So if Robert happens to see any minutes this season, I know he's going to step up. So I'm going to take him for my last pick.
Excellent.
Solid move. Big shot, Bob. He'll come in, take that 1 minute, and he'll win you a game with it.
Damn right.
All right. So I'm on my last pick. If he were still on the board, which obviously he was picked last round, but Ray Allen I fully intended to be my last pick. So I'm looking at, you still got like Patrick Ewing, not a winner. Still got Pau Gasol, a little ugly.
How dare you?
Little.
Speak his name in my
That's a
presence.
huge argument against him,
There's a lot of people that I wish I could pick. James Worthy, Carmelo Anthony. Rick Barry even, but Rick Barry is a fucking asshole. So I'm
about
going to
Melo.
take, again, proven winner, guy with very little ego. He's going to play his role, and he's going to have very little hair, and that's Manu Ginobili.
Manu.
Manu.
That's it. Good pick. Good pick.
All you guys, who was that? Nick just mentioned Carmelo. Seth, did you say you thought about Carmelo? We're not trying
Yeah.
to win an Olympic gold medal. Okay? We're going for championships here.
Coming from the guy who picked James Harden.
Yeah.
Watch yourself. And you already know my
Doncic.
last pick would be Dennis Schroeder, but I have an abundance of guards. Okay? And if
For
I'm
those
gonna,
listeners who might not know, Dennis Schroeder is like the 100th best player in the NBA currently.
That is high, Sam. That's high.
I could write you a 10-page
A little
essay
high,
as to
dude.
why he's a top 60 player right now. I'll have that for next time.
Thank you.
And with my last pick, I go back to back, right? So I get the first coach pick too. Oh no, it goes
No.
back. So I get the
No,
last
no.
pick.
You get the last coach pick.
Yeah.
Even
Correct.
better. That's fine. With my last pick of the 2020 Friends NBA draft, I select Bobby Big Dick Robert Covington. Let's fucking go,
What?
baby.
You're fucking nuts.
go.
Okay, for those listeners at home that might not know, Robert
one of
Covington
the
is the
best
101st
two-way
best player in the
players.
NBA currently.
One of the best two-way players this game has ever seen. When all is said
Oh
and
my
done,
god.
I-
Shut your mouth.
I'm gonna
Oh,
fuck
man.
you all up on the court with Bobby Big Dick.
That
I
immediately
think
makes
that
your team the
is-
worst team that's been drafted so far.
The biggest hyperbole of all time.
Okay.
Before we go to the coaches, though, can we just throw out some names of people who?
Going if you're gonna get a 3-and-D guy.
Who?
Yeah, good point, Aditya. We should go over who the most notable exceptions were.
Can I make
Jokic?
one point on that Robert Covington pick?
After
Yeah.
Covington.
I am, as we go, I'm making a spreadsheet, typing in everyone's picks, and there is literally only one player in this entire draft who I had to write both names for, and that's Robert Covington.
All right, so I think one of the notable exceptions was Dwight Howard. In his prime, he
Dwight
was
Howard.
2014 and 3 and the defensive player of the year. Obviously, he's been sullied in our minds because of his last years when we've been following basketball. But at his peak, he was his peak was really fucking good. So I think he could. I mean, I didn't pick him because I had a
He was a
backup
what,
center already. But
Three-time defensive player back to back.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if we're going modern day though, I would have never chosen him, even at his peak. And now looking at my team, I'm pretty pissed that I chose Wilt Chamberlain. So take it as it is.
yeah,
Wilt's gonna sit on my bench. He's gonna be my 10th player. Covington's gonna start over him.
Sitting on the bench, fucking
Fuck out
bitches.
of here.
Wilt's gonna sit on my face while he sits on your bench. Tell you that much.
Well,
Um,
Will could succeed in this era. Dwight Howard could too, but I just wouldn't pick him because of his locker room presence. But I consider him, and I would agree that peak performance, he's one of the best.
Wes Unsold, I want to mention. I really almost took him because he's the greatest outlet passer of all time. And on a team of greatest players, you really just need someone to rebound the ball and get an outlet out. So he was also an MVP for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Bob
thought
And then
about-
you have all the old Celtics. You got the Kuzi,
Yeah, Kuzi.
If you're gonna talk about
Pettit.
Pop Pettit.
if you're gonna
Yeah.
talk about assists and passes and all that shit, how are you not gonna mention none other than Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yeah, I thought about him too, but I meing he would bring the crowd in for sure.
Right.
I thought about David Thompson as well. They call him the Skywalker. He was 26, 5, and 4 at like 22 years old, and then he got addicted to cocaine. So like, if he hadn't, he might be considered one of the best players of all time. So at his peak, the problem is I might have cocaine sitting around my locker room, so I can't risk it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We also left out George Mikan. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Psych.
And Gervin also we actually left out.
Yeah, Gervin's another one that
George Gervin, yeah.
he's
Walt
basically like,
Frazier, Sam Jones, Dave Collins.
We also-
Frazier.
We left out a recent NBA Finals MVP, Andre Iguodala.
stop it, wash out your mouth.
I think, again,
What a
though, we're going
mistake.
over all these people
What a
that didn't get
fucking
picked,
mistake.
and it's all just an indictment of the fact that Kyle picked Robert Covington.
Agreed.
When my team rolls over all of your teams,
Stop it.
When the Houston Rockets make the finals, let's have this conversation again.
We'll talk in 6 months when the NBA resumes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hopefully. Okay, so we're gonna
But
go.
what about the guy who has all these random records? Fat Lever.
Oh, Fat, dude. Fat has to be considered if only you have to have a player in your team with a nickname like Fat. It brings the boys together. Okay, Seth, you're the first pick for coach. Who are you gonna take?
No brainer for me. I'm going to go Greg Popovich.
That's a no-brainer, he says.
Yeah,
That's a
solid.
no-brainer.
Well,
It's a good call.
I can't pick Phil Jackson because I hate the Lakers, and Red Auerbach, as great as he wasn't really my style. So I like Greg.
Fair enough. Aditya, who are you gonna take for coach?
So I do have, out of my 10, I do have 4 players who have played for the Lakers. So Phil Jackson seems to be a great pick. And I'm going to go ahead and fucking do that. I'm going to take Phil Jackson.
I think those two are no-brainers by both of you. Those are the two greatest coaches in history in my mind. Mine's pretty easy.
How dare
for
you
me.
disrespect Tyronn Lue like that?
David
My pick is-
Blatt.
My pick is pretty easy for me. He already plays for my team and also coached while he played, so I know he's already good at it. So I'll take Bill Russell as my coach. Since he won 2 championships as a player coach already, I know he's capable of it. Why hire another coach when I have a player who can already win me a championship as a coach?
I was going to ask if I could draft Bill Russell as a coach, but probably
That
not.
would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
He would tank your team.
All right, Nick.
So there's a lot of coaches, obviously, that I'd want to pick and all that. And I won't even go through them all. The one that I did want to shout out is Nick Nurse, but not picking Nick Nurse. I just think he's a great coach. But given
He is very good.
given the egos and the strong personalities I'm dealing with, MJ, KG, and just all the talent, I'm going to take a guy who coached MJ before and was able to get, obviously great play out of him. I'm going to take the Dream Team coach, Chuck Daly.
Mm.
I like that.
I think he's just great at managing personalities. And I don't know if you guys ever saw that windbreaker he wore throughout the Dream Team, but that was quality.
That
And
leaves
really,
me.
that's the most important quality.
That leaves me, and I think championships for coaches are overrated.
Mhm.
And with that fact, the Wuhan, I don't know. I was gonna say Wallabies, but that was someone's fantasy baseball team last year. So,
It was mine.
I'm not gonna do that. Either way, we're gonna draft and invest in innovation, Mike D'Antoni.
I knew you'd do it.
So you basically just have the Houston Rockets of this year. you drafted in Luka, and I suppose you added Clyde the Glide, but outside of that, you just got the Houston Rockets,
Who famously aren't going to win the title this season in the actual season. So let's see how they do in the
No
simulation.
fucking way.
Just wait.
Okay,
I'm
let's
gonna
go through
embrace
all of our
variance.
teams so the readers can really know who we have on our teams. I think, Kyle, we'll go ahead and post our teams with the description of the pods too to make sure everyone knows. And we can have the listeners decide who's the best team.
Was Pat Riley not picked at all?
No.
Fuck
he
him.
was not.
Probably
Yeah,
because
there
Kyle
was
took
Eric
Mike
Spoelstra.
instead. Okay, Kyle, go over your team.
Okay. Point guard could be switched out, but we're going to say Oscar Robertson. James Harden, a shooting guard. LeBron at small forward. Dirk Nowitzki, power forward. Wilt at center. My bench consists of Luka Doncic, Dennis Rodman, Clyde the Glide Drexler, Paul Shit-Himself Pierce, and Robert Covington. And my coach, we're investing in innovation. They call him Mike D'Antoni.
Incredible.
People are going to hate on my
Fucking
team. but I don't give a
Robert
fuck.
Covington.
Easily the
Fucking
worst
Robert
team, and I think our
Covington.
listeners will agree. I've been told by my sources that Nick is peeing. so I'm going to go ahead and skip him and go to my own team. My sources are Nick himself, by the way, for the listeners. So my number 1 pick, Bill Russell, my starting center, my leader, my defensive anchor. Power forward, Tim Duncan, my culture setter, my sacrificer for the other alphas. Point guard, I have Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time, to space the floor for us. At starting small forward, I have Kawhi Leonard, 2-time Finals MVP, defensive lockdown. At shooting guard, I have Dwayne Wade, a hero to us all. Coming off the bench is my backup big man. I have Bill Walton. And then coming off my bench as well as my backup point guard, I have Jerry West. My backup forward is Elgin Baylor. And then I have Ray Allen as my shooter off the bench. And finally, to bring in just a little bit of a big dick energy, I have Big Dick Bob. Some call him Big Game Bob. That's not what I call him. Robert Horry rounds up my players. And then as my coach, one of my players as well, Bill Russell, will be easy for him to be a player coach since he won championships doing that. And those are the fighting fuckers or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Okay, Nick looks like he's released his bowels into the depths of the
Bowels.
sewers.
I mean, I relieve my bladder. My bowels are yet to come.
Nick, go ahead and tell us your team.
All right. So I started off with MJ, just an easy decision at 2. But I think my team's very focused on switchability. We have Steve Nash at point, MJ as shooting guard. Start with Kevin Durant at small forward, but he can obviously play whatever position we need. KG at the power forward and Hakeem at center. On the bench, we have virtually its own lineup that could easily dominate all your teams. Isaiah at point. We got Manu coming in off the bench for shooting guard. Hondo, John Havlicek himself at small forward. Kevin McHale, just doing all the dirty work, throwing all the elbows. And Chris Bosh playing the modern day 5 and looking like a Raptor. And all those personalities being managed by the one, the only Chuck Daly. Carried the dream team to the 92 Olympic gold medal. We all know that wasn't a sure thing given the team. So that's my team. I think we're going to dominate you guys when it comes to this simulation.
Excellent.
Your team
Aditya?
hasn't seen Robert Covington before.
You're right, because he's not even relevant to watch.
He's an 80 on 2K, and he's listed as a perimeter lockdown player.
An 80 on 2K. None of our
Get the
players are
fuck
that
out.
low. All right, Aditya, the Bald Messiah. Tell me what your team is.
Thank you. First of all, loving the nickname. I'm going to tattoo it right on my forehead. I'm going to start. I have the most winning coach in history. I've got Phil Jackson. Starting lineup. I did go with a 5-guard, 10-man rotation. Do I regret it? No. The starting lineup, I'm going to bring out Magic, Kobe, Shaq, the Admiral, and Charles Barkley. I think that's just a phenomenal lineup. Tons of defense, and Kobe to just score on whoever the fuck he wants. Off the bench, I can bring out Stockton and Chris Paul. I can play them side by side. I got Anthony Davis, one of the most dynamic personalities the NBA's ever seen. Dr. J to help out, and then Russell Westbrook to clean up whatever the fuck he wants to. And Russell actually is playing the 5 on the Rockets right now, and he's kind of killing it. He was killing it before the lockout.
They call him the janitor. He cleans up what needs to be cleaned.
Yeah. I mean, I'm off track, but that game against Utah Jazz where he just shut down fucking Rudy Gobert was insane.
Yeah, he's
So-
That's
basically
the entire Rockets team, and that's why they're going to make it to not just the Eastern or the Western Conference Finals. They're going all the way, baby.
Kyle, are you jealous that he took Russell?
No, he was on my list though. I had to cross him off once he picked him.
So you are jealous. Okay.
I
Seth,
did
go ahead and
want
list
to
your team.
jump out and just jump on the tweet here. I assume, AD, you were talking about the most championship wins, right? Because Don Nelson, I think, is the most winning coach.
No.
Don Nelson is high right
Percentage.
now, somewhere in the Calabasas. Okay, we don't need to hear about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Phil Jackson, obviously, only the most championships until Mike D'Antoni starts dominating the NBA.
Right. Which
Ain't that right, Kyle?
No, I think Jackson's got the percentage actually too.
Well, if we're going by the most winning coach in history, I mean, Bill Russell won 11 championships, not all as a coach, but he will again, this time as a coach. So think about that. All right, Seth, what's your team?
All right, so I would probably take the regular season to figure out what our best starting lineup is. Not fully sure what I want to do, but I think what I would do is I'd have Giannis bringing the ball up, and then on the wings, I would have Klay Thompson, Scottie Pippen, and Larry Bird. And then Kareem would be down low as my big man, which means that coming off the bench, I have Karl Malone, which, by the way, I just noticed I have the first and second leading scorers all-time NBA points. Of course, LeBron will pass him in no time, but so off the bench, I have Karl and Moses Malone, the Malone twins, and then Jason Kidd and Gary Payton, point guards off the bench to be able to facilitate the offense. And then anytime that I need to score 13 points in 35 seconds, T-Mac's coming in.
Excellent.
And I have Greg Popovich coaching.
Okay, well, we'll post all these teams for the listeners to decide who's the best, and we'll try our best to simulate a season and see what happens.
If Seth's team isn't named the Home Malones, we have a problem.
What about the Post Malones?
Nah, that's not it.
You're right. Okay, any parting shots, boys, before we go?
Yeah, I think, Seth, you're going to be down 13 points with 35 seconds a lot, so better bring out T-Mac.
Damn.
Wow. Well, Aditya, I actually like your team a lot.
I do like my team.
Although, I will say, I'm less worried about team chemistry than I think you should be with Kobe and Shaq. Have already proven that they can't play on a team together for a long time. I mean, it's one season, so
that's why I have Phil Jackson.
They could probably last.
Phil Jackson,
right.
Not to mention Chuck and Shaq are 2 seconds away from killing each other in TNT every night.
Get Uri Johnson as an assistant coach, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's who I need.
All right, I think we all drafted solid teams. We'll let the world decide what's the best. But this is a really enjoyable first inaugural all-time NBA draft, super summer blowout, I think.
It's the first inaugural, but we don't do it every year, and it's not the first time we've done it.
Correct. Questions? I hope this brought you a little quarantine entertainment. Boys, it was a pleasure, and we'll see you next time. Kyle, what happened on the third day?
He rose again, baby.
Thank you.
Robert Covington.